Imagine waking up one morning and finding your most prized possession gone. Now imagine that possession could level mountains and shake the heavens themselves. This is the story of how the god of thunder lost his legendary hammer and the bizarre lengths he went to get it back. It's a tale that involves cross-dressing, wedding crashers, and one of the most ridiculous plans ever hatched in Norse mythology. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this ancient story still makes people laugh today and why it reveals something surprising about Viking culture. If you want more wild stories from mythology, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Picture this. It's dawn in Asgard, the golden realm of the gods. The massive halls gleam in the morning light, their walls decorated with shields and weapons that have seen countless battles. The air smells of mead and victory. But something's wrong. Thor, the red-bearded god of thunder, jolts awake in his enormous bed. His first instinct, like every morning, is to reach for Mjolnir, his mighty hammer. His fingers close around empty air. The spot where his weapon always rests is cold and bare. "What in the 9 realms?" Thor mutters, his voice already carrying the rumble of distant thunder. He searches frantically through his bedchambers, tossing aside heavy furs and golden goblets. Nothing. The hammer that never leaves his side, the weapon that always returns to his hand when thrown, is gone. Thor's mind races. Without Mjolnir, he's still incredibly strong, but he's lost the very thing that makes him the protector of gods and humans alike. This isn't just a missing tool. This is a cosmic disaster waiting to happen. His booming voice echoes through Asgard as he calls for Loki, his blood brother and the god of mischief. "Loki, get here now!" Loki appears with his usual smirk, but it fades when he sees Thor's face. The god of thunder looks genuinely scared, and when Thor is scared, everyone should be worried. "Someone stole Mjolnir," Thor says, his words heavy with dread. "While I slept, some fool took my hammer." Loki's eyes widen. He knows exactly what this means. Without Thor's hammer, the giants could attack Asgard. The realms could fall into chaos. Worse yet, whoever stole Mjolnir now holds the power to destroy worlds. "We need to find it fast," Loki says, his mind already working on possibilities. "But first, we need to figure out who's crazy enough to steal from the god of thunder." The answer comes sooner than they expect. A messenger arrives at the golden gates of Asgard, bearing news that makes both gods' blood run cold. The giant Thrym, ruler of Jotunheim, has sent word throughout the 9 realms. He has Mjolnir, and he's willing to make a deal. But this isn't just any deal. Thrym's demand is so outrageous, it makes both gods speechless. He wants Freya, the most beautiful goddess in Asgard, as his bride. Only then will he return the hammer. "That's insane," Thor growls, his fists clenched. "Freya would never agree to marry that frost giant, and even if she did, we can't just trade away one of our own." When they present Thrym's offer to Freya, her reaction is exactly what they expected. Her eyes flash with fury so intense that her golden necklace trembles on her chest. "Absolutely not," she declares, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "I would rather see all 9 realms burn than marry that giant. Find another way." The gods of Asgard gather in their great hall, voices rising in heated debate. Some suggest war, but without Mjolnir, their chances look grim. Others propose negotiating, but Thrym seems set on his bride price. Then Heimdall, the all-seeing guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, speaks up with an idea so ridiculous that it just might work. "What if we give Thrym exactly what he wants?" Heimdall says slowly. "A bride from Asgard, just not the bride he's expecting." All eyes turn to him. He continues, "What if Thor disguises himself as Freya?" He goes to the wedding, gets close to Mjolnir, and then reveals himself at the perfect moment. The hall falls silent. Then Thor's voice explodes like thunder. "What? You want me to dress up like a woman and pretend to be Freya? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard." But as the idea sinks in, even Thor realizes it might be their only option. The plan is crazy enough that it could actually work. Giants aren't known for their intelligence, and Thrym is so obsessed with having Freya as his bride that he might not look too closely at his future wife. "Think about it," Loki adds, warming to the idea. "I'll come with you as your handmaiden. We'll get you dressed up, complete with Freya's famous necklace and a wedding veil to hide your beard." The giants will be so excited about the wedding feast, they won't notice anything strange. Thor spends hours staring at his reflection, trying to imagine himself in women's clothing. The idea makes his stomach turn, but the thought of leaving Mjolnir in enemy hands makes it turn even more. "Fine," he finally growls, "but if anyone ever speaks of this again, I'll flatten them with my bare hands." The preparation takes an entire day. Thor struggles into one of Freyja's massive dresses, the fabric straining against his broad shoulders. The goddess's famous golden necklace barely fits around his thick neck. A heavy veil covers his red beard and most of his face. Looking at himself in the polished bronze mirror, Thor can barely believe what he's seeing. He looks like the strangest bride in all the 9 realms. "Remember," Loki coaches him as they prepare to leave, "keep your voice high. Take small steps. Don't crush anything with your hands. And whatever you do, don't let your temper show." The journey to Jotunheim feels endless. Thor sits stiffly in the wedding cart, trying not to tear his dress every time he moves. His fake voice cracks whenever he tries to speak, but somehow their disguise holds. When they arrive at Thrym's hall, the giant king rushes out to greet his bride. He's massive, even by giant standards, with arms like tree trunks and a smile full of yellow teeth. "My beautiful Freya," Thrym booms, taking Thor's disguised hand and nearly crushing it in his enthusiasm. "At last, you're here! Tonight we feast, and tomorrow we wed." The wedding feast is torture for Thor. He has to sit still while Thrym makes toasts in his honor, calling him beautiful and praising his delicate features. Every compliment makes Thor's jaw clench harder under his veil. But the real challenge comes when the food arrives. Thor, nervous and hungry from the journey, starts eating like the warrior he is. He devours an entire roasted ox, 8 salmon, and all the pastries meant for the women guests. He washes it down with 3 horns of mead. The giants stare in shock. Thrym looks confused. "Your bride has quite an appetite," one giant whispers. Loki, thinking quickly, leans over to Thrym. "Oh, my lady Freya has been so excited about this wedding that she hasn't eaten in 8 days. That's how eager she was to become your wife." Thrym beams with pride, completely buying the explanation. As the feast continues, Thrym decides he wants to kiss his bride. He reaches over to lift Thor's veil, but stops when he sees the god's eyes. They're blazing red with barely controlled fury. Her eyes, Thrym stammers. They burn like fire. Again, Loki jumps in. My lady hasn't slept in 8 nights thinking of you. That's the fire of love you see burning in her eyes. Finally, the moment they've been waiting for arrives. Thrym stands up, raising his cup high. Tomorrow, my beautiful bride and I will be wed. But first, I want to show her the greatest wedding gift ever given. He claps his hands, and several giants bring out Mjolnir, placing it right in front of Thor on the table. The hammer seems to pulse with power, calling to its true master. Behold, Thrym declares, the mighty hammer of Thor himself. I stole it from the thunder god's own bedchamber. With this weapon, we giants will finally rule all the realms. Thor's disguise almost cracks at that moment. His hands shake with rage as he stares at his beloved hammer, so close he can almost touch it. Would you like to hold your wedding gift, my dear? Thrym asks, offering the hammer to his disguised bride. This is the moment they've planned for. Thor reaches out with trembling hands and grasps Mjolnir's handle. The instant his skin touches the leather grip, lightning crackles through the hall. Finally, Thor roars, throwing off his veil and standing to his full height. His voice booms through the hall like thunder. I have my hammer back! The giants freeze in terror as they realize who's been sitting at their table. Thor rips off his wedding dress, revealing his armor underneath. Lightning courses around Mjolnir as he raises it high. Did you really think you could steal from the God of Thunder? Thor bellows. Did you think I would let this insult go unpunished? What follows is swift and brutal. Thor's hammer sings through the air, and within minutes, Thrym and his guests are nothing but scattered remnants. The hall that once echoed with wedding celebrations now lies in ruins. Standing in the wreckage, Thor looks down at Mjolnir in his hand. The weapon hums contentedly, as if happy to be reunited with its master. Well, Loki says, picking pieces of wedding cake out of his hair, that was definitely the strangest rescue mission we've ever been on. And if you ever tell anyone about the dress, Thor warns, pointing his hammer at his blood brother, you'll join Thrym in whatever realm dead giants go to. This wild tale from Norse mythology shows us something fascinating about Viking culture. Even their mightiest gods weren't too proud to do whatever it took to protect their people. Thor's willingness to sacrifice his dignity for the greater good made him a hero worth following. The story of Thor's missing hammer reminds us that sometimes the most unlikely plans are the ones that work, and that even gods have to get creative when facing impossible odds. Subscribe for more incredible stories from mythology that prove truth really is stranger than fiction.